All right, here we go. So, bell ringer for today. Describe the Korean War. Was this war success for the U.S. in containing communism? There you go. Oh, Alyssa, you good for current events tomorrow? Okay. Do you have one done yet or not? You can talk about Biden's speech to Congress yesterday after his first 100 days. Yeah, he gave a speech yesterday about it, though, and describing his goals, his policy moving forward. Yeah. What's that on? What's that? Oh, did I mess something up?
No.
Yeah, so he was.
Was he reading off anything?
Well, he had a speech, yeah. Usually I have a teleprompter in front of the president.
So he sat there and started.
All right. Go to your own prom? No.
My date's crippled.
Oh, Karen. How's she doing? Oh,
She's doing better.
yeah.
She was on a lot of pain for the past week.
Yeah.
Noticed some leadership.
What happened?
We did ACL surgery.
ACL. How'd you do that?
We both running and went to make a cut to change direction. It was tore ACL and meniscus.
Is she still laid up yet?
No volleyball. She's probably not going to get into basketball until like December. She don't want to go to prom wear to take race because it goes from like
Oh,
the
yeah.
top of her leg down.
I believe it. Ethan, you going to prom? Haley, you going to prom? Claire? Yeah? Autumn? Be cool. All right, so real quick, I know we just went over this with the reading, but the Korean War, we know that as a conflict right at the end of World War II, really, right at the start of 1950. And who was the North Korean leader that pushed for this war, supported by Stalin? What was his name? Yep, Kim Il-sung. Good job. Good job. And he's backed by the Soviet Union. Right, the Soviet Union is going to do their best. Stalin thought this was a great idea to try to start a conflict in Asia. Why? What was going on in Europe that he wanted to stop? That he wanted to put an end to? What's that?
Stalin was here for this.
Yeah, he was pushing this.
He died in 53.
Yep, 53, right at the end of this war. Yeah. Why was he pushing for this, though? What was the United States doing in Europe that he wanted to put an end to? Okay, yeah. So I guess you said the Mediterranean crisis. So the Truman Doctrine supporting Greece and Turkey, controlling that strait through Turkey and the Mediterranean Sea. But what else? Chris, go ahead.
Just basically expanding democratic rules, and Stalin wanted to expand communism.
Okay, but what plan did the United States initiate? Yeah, the Marshall Plan. Good job. Good job. So this was a lot of funding, a lot of money towards really building up Western Europe. And Stalin wanted to try to put an end to that. He wanted to put a cut to it. And the best way to do that is start a conflict somewhere else, right? So he aided Kim Il-sung right at the end of World War II and building up North Korea, making them really a powerhouse, okay? And he wanted to try to take the Korean Peninsula. So Kim Il-sung was just trying to push for unifying the Korean Peninsula, making it one. And again, backed by Stalin to spread communism and try to make this domino effect continue in Asia. If the Korean Peninsula would have fell, who would probably be next? Where we'd see another conflict against communism and capitalism and democracy. Where would that go next, do you think? A fear of where it would go next anyway. Who we fight in World War II in Pacific Theater? Japan, right? Okay, guys, good. So Japan, right? So this might continue on and on. It might never end. All right. So with that being said, Kim Il Sung invaded South Korea, really almost took over all of it, and then Truman initiated the Korean War, pushed for United States forces, UN forces to invade into South Korea and push the North Korean army back, which they did. They liberated Seoul and captured Pyongyang, and they moved all the way up to the border with China. And as they were taking that border, really, they kind of crossed the line. They moved into China's borders, which pushed China to retaliate. And we all know China is really good friends with North Korea, and they're communistic at the time. And Mao Zedong was going to do everything he could to try to keep communism in China and try to spread it as well into Asia. Okay. So, with that being said, the United States angered China and pushed them to retaliate, which, in a way, we were just overloaded, right? Although we were more advanced militarily, we just didn't have as many troops and soldiers as what China had at that moment, where they were sending thousands and thousands of troops and soldiers. And we didn't want to initiate another wartime draft, right? We didn't want to do that. We just got out of World War II. Why continue with warfare? Okay. So, Chinese forces, North Korean forces, back with Soviet gear and supplies, pushed the United States and South Korea back to that 38th parallel, which where we see it today as a DMZ, demilitarized zone. Okay, a lot of hostility there still, a lot of tensions. And now Kim Jong-un, the current dictator, leader of North Korea, he's launching missiles in the Sea of Japan and picking back up on his nuclear deal. And like I mentioned before yesterday, it looked like we were gaining some sort of traction for relationship. And Trump met with him, but I'm not sure where we're at today. It looks like they're starting up with their nuclear program once again. What's up?
Is Kim Jong-un in the same bloodline as
Yeah.
Kim Il-sung?
Yeah. There's one between Kim Jong-il. That was his Kim Jong-un's dad and grandfather, Kim Il-sung. There you
Didn't
go.
he fake that he died? That's what I saw.
I don't know.
Yeah, he faked that he died during COVID just to see that if anyone would try to take his place.
I don't know. I think that was just build up.
His sister was-
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
that
just
line.
was like,
And she's worse
I don't know. I think that was kind of build up. He just went to his vacation destination, I've heard. All right, there you go. Here is the terms for today. Just Atomic Energy Committee and mutually assured destruction. Mad. Okay, so Sigmund Rhee, we already talked about. We're good with him. Okay, he was a South Korean leader during that Korean War, 1950, 1953. All right, so right around this time, Soviet Union, they have an atomic weapon. Look out. And 1953, towards really the end of the Korean War, Stalin dies. Right, Stalin dies. So new leaders coming into play for the Soviet Union. All right, so what do we have here? Atomic Energy Committee. What do we got? What do we have here for this one? Haley Ryder, what do you have?
It was an agency of the United States government established by World War II by U.S.
Good job. All right, so this was created right after World War II once we detonated the first 2 atomic bombs, really. And the United States wanted to try to create a committee where they would try to have some sort of authorization. And the UN would step in to make sure that these countries don't start developing atomic weapons, really, try to restrict it in a way. And did that fly over well with the Soviet Union? No, not at all. The United States was really trying to dictate to other countries of what they can actually do with atomic weapons, what kind of developments they can have. So it looks like the U.S. is trying to rule over these other countries and tell them what they can and can't do with their nuclear development. And one of the main reasons was because we saw the destruction of it. We witnessed it. We performed it. And we didn't want this to happen constantly all throughout the world if war might ensue with other countries. All right, so in a way, we're trying to say we want to protect the world, but in other cases, we're telling countries what they can and can't do. That's not going to fly over well with the Soviet Union, obviously, and Stalin. All right, so we'll talk about it today. The USSR sees this as I guess you could say, an aggressive tactic by the United States. All right, mutually assured destruction. Matt, what do we have? What do we got here? What do we got? Haley Klinger, what do you have for Mad? You didn't get that one? Someone? Jakari, go ahead.
A doctrine of military strategy and national security policy in which a full-scale use of nuclear weapons by 2 or more opposing sides would cause the complete annihilation of both the attacker and the defender.
All right, good job, good job. So this was an agreement between many countries, with NATO, obviously, and the Soviet Union even, that if nuclear war would break out, there wouldn't be nothing left. All right, there would be destruction all around the world, okay, in the 2 countries that obviously would be at war with each other. And that's not good for anybody. So there goes his 2 superpowers in the world just like that. And what would the world probably do? Break out in chaos, anarchy, most likely. All right, so that's what MAD is, okay? That's an agreement between these countries that, if nuclear war would happen, chaos, anarchy would emerge, and no one would be victorious. No one would win, okay? All right, so real quick. All right, so right before the Korean War really starts, the United States detects some sort of atomic energy, radiation, into the air on a flight by a B-29 United States, I guess say plane, and they picked up some atomic radiation that was coming from Siberia. Okay, this was a flight right around Alaska, like in the territory of Alaska, kind of just doing a run, checking to see if there is any type of radiation in the atmosphere, and to see if the Soviet Union's detecting any type of or detonating any type of bombs. Okay, which they did in 1949, and it happened in Kazakhstan, right, close to Siberia. And this just showed that this is kicking off this atomic age. Right now, the Soviet Union has the atomic bomb of themselves, of their own. How do they do it? There was a constant question amongst many people in the United States of how they had the ability to create an atomic weapon. And right away, what do you think the United States thought of? Spies, right? There's someone leaking information from the Manhattan Project to the Soviets to create this atomic weapon, which there were actually. There were. And this creates a huge paranoia around the United States. Okay, huge paranoia. This is going to lead into many senators and politicians in the U.S. looking for these Soviet spies just living amongst people. Okay, and this is going to create McCarthyism in the United States. And this is literally like the Red Scare, but on steroids. Okay, this is a Red Scare in the United States again. So we saw it after World War I, and guess what? We'll see it again after World War II, but even larger. Okay, even larger. All right, so 2, they detect unusual atmosphere radiation from Siberia. And then 3, we decided, well, come to a conclusion that the Soviet Union have an atomic bomb. Okay, no longer the United States is the only country in the world that has an atomic weapon or a super weapon. Right, just 4 years after World War II, it looks like the Soviets are just neck and neck with us now. So this pushes the United States to develop a bomb that's a little bit larger, that has a little bit more power to it. Right? That leads to the hydrogen bomb, which I'll talk about. All right, so U.S. and Soviets paranoid over each other. Okay, obviously this is creating tensions between the two powers now that they both have atomic weapons. So spies, okay? Like I mentioned, this is a buildup of McCarthyism in the United States, okay? And this is going to be more development in the CIA for the United States and how we can maybe look into see what exactly the Soviets are doing, what their next strategy is, what their plan is. And at this time, Stalin was really, really paranoid, okay? Towards the end of his leadership, he thought someone was going to take him out. Someone was going to, even internally, trying to take over his power. And he wanted to try to make sure that he was a step ahead of the United States with their advancements in nuclear arms, okay, eventually space race, and territorial. Like, where is the U.S. going to step next? Where are they going to try to target and stop the spread of communism next? All right, so once Stalin dies in 1953, Khrushchev comes into play. He's the new leader of the Soviet Union, which I'll save more for tomorrow. But Khrushchev, okay, he was a strong leader. He was one of the generals during Stalingrad. Okay, he's actually, if you guys ever watched the movie Enemy at the Gates, he's in that movie. And he actually goes through a stage of de-Stalinization. Okay, so I was going to put that as a term, but I'll save that for tomorrow as well. So de-Stalinization. So just save that for tomorrow. Back? All right. Sorry about that, Jakari. All right, so last one here. So Atomic Energy Committee, so December 1949, right when we're detecting about this new atomic bomb that the Soviet Union just detonated, now that they're really hand in hand with us, right, when they're level with us, Truman decides to try to create this committee. And this angered a lot of people, obviously, in the Soviet Union. This was their belief that the United States was trying to control what really other countries around the world, what they can do with their nuclear programs. It's like, oh, well, the United States has one, but they're trying to tell other people that, maybe they shouldn't have an atomic weapon. That doesn't make any sense, right? But we knew the destruction of the bomb. Something had to be done. In the wrong hands, this could create literally devastation and end of civilizations all around the world. So we want to try to prepare ourselves and try to prevent a nuclear war from happening. And Stalin viewed this really as an act against him and an act to better the United States and better their advancements, while the rest of the world is kind of left in the backtrack, right? Left behind the road. Okay. All right, so with that being said, okay, Stalin really just doesn't agree to this committee whatsoever. The Soviet Union said, yeah, this is just your way of trying to advance yourself, and just see the rest of us behind the eight ball here. The Truman orders development of the hydrogen bomb. It's like, you know what? If the Soviets have an atomic weapon, we're going to make something 700 times larger. Okay, 700 times bigger, badder, you name it. Is the creation of the hydrogen bomb, which we set off out in the Pacific Ocean, which was alarming. Like I said, it was 700 times the explosion. And it was detonated underwater, which would send 100 tons of water up into the air, okay, for ocean water up in the air, and really just leveled off a small island out in the Pacific Ocean. So 1952, U.S. tests the hydrogen bomb, but eventually the Soviets would have their own. By 1955, they would test their own hydrogen bomb, and it just showed that we're neck and neck with this atomic race, that they're right there with us. If we set off a hydrogen bomb just a few years later, Soviets would do the same. Okay, so this is really kicking off this arms race to a point where this is really alarming, and something has to be done to try to stop setting off atomic weapons in the atmosphere, right, on Earth. It's going to create a lot of issues. So by the 1950s and 60s, both sides stockpile missiles, submarines, and other weapons, just really intensifying this atomic age and this the issues between the two countries. All right, you guys good with that? Shikari good? Okay. Well, I was going to sign that political cartoon, but I'll just have you guys do it tomorrow for class. Does that sound good? No homework then. Okay. Haley Klinger, all right with that? Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So no homework tonight. I didn't really get to it either. So we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll let you guys work on it. And that'll be a relaxing Friday.
It feels like really